Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original crew, man? We're back, man. We got the boy Nick Crowley yet again with YouTube's Darkest Videos 8. He's back, baby. Trying to get into some darkness, baby. I was trying to do something. I said stop. I said no. I listen. But hey, with that being said, before we get into it today, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box
down below.
You already know where to go. If you want to first support, all you gotta do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
And we're doing this immediately as soon as we can with Nick, but I don't know when it's going out, bro. We upload so much content drops. Hey, y'all get it how y'all get it, and that's all we can do. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, man, let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, also, if you're new to the channel and haven't already, hit that subscribe button, man. We're on the road to 300K. We're trying to get there by the end of the summer. So we need y'all help getting there, man. Could y'all please hit the subscribe button, join the family, join the fun that we do have. Always, you know what I'm saying? We got the Discord. If y'all got some recommendations for videos, you can drop them over there in the Discord for us, man. But you ready?
All right.
Let's get it. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about. Let's go.
It was 2:46 p.m. when the ground began to shake.
Knock it off.
Oh, geez.
For residents of Anagawa, Japan, earthquakes were nothing new, but this one was different. It carried with it a violence that none of the locals had ever felt before, and by the time the shaking had stopped, everyone in the city seemed to be left in a momentary state of shock. This was especially true for the nearly 160 Chinese workers and students that had recently moved to the area, with most having never experienced any earthquake, let alone one of this magnitude.
Have you ever experienced an earthquake? If no is no, yes. Where we from, it's not. Where we from is not necessarily common. But I know personally I have, and I was a kid, and when I was literally laying in the bed, and I said, what the hell is that?
Someone felt like they had experienced one that's like a few weeks ago.
So I said it back home, depending where you are. If you're closer to the river, you will feel it.
Yeah.
So y'all are further away from it, so I doubt y'all ever felt one. It's typically hit right, like we get the like tail end of it, and so it don't be as big. But I have felt when I was like in the bed, and I was like, because me, especially when I was younger, I thought somebody came like with music subs. You know, it was the weekend. I think it was like a Saturday, and like I'm like, damn, somebody. But I'm like, I ain't hear no knocking. I ain't hear no boo. And, you know, normally that shakes the house a little bit, but I'm like, I don't hear nothing. But I'm like, the house. I said, feel like something shaking. I said, whatever. And then found out it was an earthquake had happened. And I was just like, oh, so that's an earthquake. But it was a little one, though.
Of these workers were a tight-knit group of 20 women who had recently been hired as trainees at a company called Sato Susan, a company that sold fresh seafood. And having been at work at the time of the quake, they frantically ran out of the building and stood in the street desperately trying to figure out what to do next, unaware of the fact that the real horrors were still yet to come. In Japan, it's not just the earthquakes you have to worry about, but the tsunamis that often follow, and usually the bigger the earthquake, the bigger the wave. And given that Anagawa was right on the sea and Sato Susan was directly on the shoreline, these women were now standing directly in the path of an impending disaster. Thankfully, their boss, Mitsuro Sato, was well aware of what was to come, and quickly he yelled to the women to seek higher ground. But given their unfamiliarity with the area, Sato knew that he would have to be the one to lead them there. The group readily listened, and they quickly followed Sato as he led them up a set of stairs on a nearby hill, where they eventually reached a shrine that overlooked Anagawa and the sea. It was the highest point in the area, and should keep them safe from what would likely be a massive influx of water. And sure enough, as they neared the top, Sato's fears were already coming true. As the sea had drastically retreated, it was now beginning to push forward, and things were only going to get worse from here. But despite understanding this, it wasn't a deterrent for Sato, as once he deemed the altitude safe enough for this group of women, he then turned around and began to walk back down the hill towards the slowly flooding city.
Oh no.
The girls yelled at him asking where he was going, which is when he revealed that down below in his home in Anagawa were his wife and his daughter, who were now directly in the path of this unfolding disaster, and he was going to save them. The girl screamed out to him, begging him not to go, as things had already become incredibly dangerous, but he didn't so much as turn his head as he stepped down onto the street and disappeared from their view. And it was at this time that one of those girls standing high atop the hill began to record. The footage shows that the shoreline was no more, as the water had inundated the entire area as it slowly crept its way deeper and deeper into the city streets. The women were understandably in a panic, trying to make sense of this ordeal that they were now given a front row seat to. And as they record, we can hear them desperately calling out for Sato, but at no point do we see him. We just know that he's down there, somewhere. And as the desperation in their pleas increases, so too does the fury of the water. They could only watch as Anagawa as they knew it was completely eviscerated. And by this point, they realized that there was now essentially no hope for Sato. It was at this time that the women realized that despite already being at a considerable height, it still might not be enough, and so they ran even higher up the hill, desperately trying to get out of the path of this water. And as they did so, they noticed something down below.
Is that him walking?
Standing on a rooftop in the middle of this massive tsunami was Mitsuro Sato. The building that he stood on was once a full 2 stories off the ground, but was now just a few inches above the surface of the water.
Wow.
The women again call out to him, this time even more frantically, but at this point, it was no use. And when the camera is taken off Sato for just a split second, we can hear just from the women's reaction the exact moment that he swept away. The recording stops shortly after and restarts minutes later, revealing that the streets where the women had been standing just moments before were now fully underwater, and the buildings that once stood around them were now reduced to nothingness. In front of them was a sea of death, and had Mitsuro Sato not led them up that hill, then all of these women would have certainly been a part of it. The date was March 11th, 2011, a day where Japan had been hit by its most devastating earthquake ever, with it ringing in at a magnitude 9.0, which in turn caused the nation's worst ever tsunami, as that day, 19,759 people would lose their lives.
Damn.
With Mitsuro Sato being one of them. But against all odds, his wife and daughter were not part of that death toll, as it's been reported that they were later found alive and unharmed. The devastation that occurred that day is incomprehensible, and all the footage of this disaster could warrant a place in this video, especially the footage of Anagawa, as you can see what it looked like before, during, and after. But what I found so interesting about this was all throughout this disaster were stories like Sato's, a man who risked his life to save 20 women that he hardly knew, and a man who gave his life trying to save his family, walking directly into the path of the worst natural disaster in modern Japanese history, all in an attempt to save the ones that he loved. And I honestly find it quite beautiful that afterwards, these women adamantly shared his story and made sure that the world forever remembered Misuro Sato as the hero that he was. And of those 160 Chinese migrants who worked in the area, it was later reported that not a single one of them perished, which speaks volumes about the people of Anagawa, who so readily put others' lives before their own.
Fire marshal is investigating a blaze in...
That is so tragic.
That is.
I wonder, like, how were they able to, like, repair afterwards, you know? After losing I'm damn near 20,000 people, you know? Like, that's a lot to the community to lose 20,000 people in one incident. You know, like, how do one, like, recover, like, fully recover from a situation like that? That's nothing that you can recover in a year, 2 years. Like, since it has been over a decade now, I wonder what, like, you know, like, what condition is, like, were they able to bounce back as a community? Were they able to fully rebuild? Were they at, you know? Yeah. Or do they still, like, suffer today from the effects of that, you know? I got so many questions. I'm going to have to look into that for real. All right, let's get it.
In Georgetown, 2 people found dead inside the home, and so far it's not known how the fire started.
It was just past 5:30 a.m. on the 17th of February 2021 when residents of a small neighborhood in Georgetown, Ontario were woken by the sound of sirens blaring. One man frantically grabbed his cell phone and rushed outside to record the unfolding scene, where he was met with a horrific sight. His neighbor's home was fully engulfed in flames. It must have happened quickly, as by the time rescue workers even arrived on the scene, there was already little hope of saving the house, or any of its occupants. It would take hours before that blaze was finally quelled, revealing the charred devastation inside, as firefighters would find the remains of 56-year-old Christina Rirak and 59-year-old Andrew Rirak within the home's garage. The cause of this fire was initially unknown, but quickly the situation was deemed suspicious when experts determined that the fire had started as a result of some sort of explosion that had happened within the garage where the couple's bodies were found. This was later confirmed by security footage obtained from a neighbor who lived across the street, capturing the moments when it suddenly ignited around 5:27 a.m. There was clearly something off with this case, and things only became more sinister following the autopsies of Andrew and Christina, which revealed that they hadn't actually died in that fire, and instead, both of them had been stabbed to death, with Andrew also being badly beaten. This fire wasn't started to kill them, it was started to cover up their murder. And it did a good job of it too, as the scene was now left completely destroyed, with very little evidence being left behind. But there was something else investigators thought to check. That's security footage. The camera had been facing the garage where all of this carnage seemed to have happened, and so they thought maybe if they looked back far enough, it could at the very least show what had led up to this brutal attack. And so they rewound that footage, going back hours and hours, during all of which the garage had remained perfectly still, until they got all the way back to 6:42 of the day prior, February 16th. The film showed the moments that the couple had arrived home together inside of Christina's car, which Andrew had been driving that night, as he pulled uneventfully into the garage. This was the last time this couple was seen alive on camera, which on its own is disturbing enough. But as it turns out, there was something far more unsettling about this footage, as it revealed the fact that Christina and Andrew weren't alone.
As soon as she opened the door.
Yep. the world?
And think about it. That was all overnight.
Mm-hmm.
They went through some terrible, because they arrived at 6 p.m. that night, and the garage blew up. So almost 12 hours later. But they were probably long gone deceased by then. And whoever that was.
It's just. I'm wondering, was it someone that they knew, or was it this?
Did somebody ignite the fire and then run, or they set something to explode at a certain time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but you said you wanted what?
If it's someone that they knew, or was it random, or
Could the husband possibly, like, through his company, through his job, through his work, like something like that, or
I hope we get like,
did they owe somebody some money or something, or
was it a robbery or something?
But this looks like
too
not random.
Cause you like waiting for them to get like, oh, it's just that's weird, but okay.
It seems more also with the husband being beat up and then both being stabbed.
Yeah,
it sounds. This is not random. This is so much a targeted attack. Somebody knew, you know.
That's sad.
The footage showed a tall figure, its features completely shrouded in darkness, almost as if it were a shadow, with this figure lying in wait out of sight on the side of the house, until right after Andrew pulls the car into the garage, when this person slips in behind them. It's impossible to say for sure if the couple noticed this person or not, but it appears that they likely didn't, as they both start to exit the vehicle, to which the figure then ducks down in an attempt to avoid detection.
Dang.
Until the garage door begins to slowly close.
Man.
Either Christina or Andrew would make it out of that garage alive, as just seconds after this footage, they both would be brutally murdered by this unidentified person.
Wow.
The footage is terrifying and speaks to that innate fear in most of us, the fear of being followed, of being watched, and attacked in the moments where we least expect it. It's paranoia-inducing, and made even more off-putting by the fact that this clearly seemed to be premeditated. Whoever this was knew their schedule and had been waiting for them to arrive home, in a place where they knew they wouldn't be seen. But by this point, their motivation was as unknown as their identity.
True.
Following the discovery of this footage, bits and pieces were released to the press in order to get the public's help in identifying this unknown assailant. It represented a rare instance of a killer being clearly caught on camera right before committing a crime, but that's also what made this case so frustrating, as despite the video capturing this person, none of their features were discernible at all. Unsurprisingly, the footage didn't bring in any relevant leads, but it at the very least showed investigators that whoever this person was knew the couple, due to its obvious premeditation. Though when looking into both Andrew and Christina, it was clear that neither of them really had any enemies in their life, with the exception of one. Harrison Brown was a 27-year-old employee at a company called Rogue Transportations, of which Christina happened to be the vice president of operations, and during his time there, Harrison was known to be abrasive and combative, with Christina often having to be the one to reprimand him, leading to Harrison resenting her.
That's another thing I was going to say. I was saying the husband, but I want to say the husband or the wife. I didn't get that out, but a lot of times, situation like that too. Also, when you got rank in a company, it can be kind of scary because of the employees. You don't know who you're pissed off. You know. Some people look to retaliate because things are not going their way.
It isn't clear how police were tipped off about this strained working relationship, but they had somehow grown suspicious enough of Harrison to pay his home a visit, and what they found inside showed that this resentment he had towards Christina had actually morphed into a twisted obsession. Inside, police found satellite images of the Rear-X home, along with the software on the man's computer and cell phone that showed that on the 12th of February, he had secretly attached a tracking device to Christina's car.
Shut up.
And he had been tracking her movements for days, which is precisely how he knew when she would be arriving home. And as if this revelation wasn't damning enough, they would also find a broken knife in his garage that contained trace amounts of Christina's blood. It was obvious what Harrison had done, and when confronted with this evidence, there was nothing more he could say other than the truth. So he admitted he had grown a hatred for Christina because of the way that she had treated him at work, and he decided that he needed to get his revenge. That's when he purchased this tracking device and began obsessing over her movements, studying them before finding the perfect time and place to strike. And on February 16th, he waited outside the Rearx home and snuck into their garage before attacking and killing them both. After the assault, Harrison would leave the home, where he began to grow paranoid about being caught, and so he returned to the house the very next morning to start that fire, with the hopes being that the blaze would cover up his tracks. Though thankfully, this didn't work, and after pleading guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of arson, Harrison Brown would be sentenced to life in prison.
Good. That's so heartbreaking.
Bro, what you said? The husband and wife innocently taken. Oh, because you was having to get reprimanded at work. Obviously, your ass doing shit.
What are you doing? Because at this point...
Or what are you not doing?
Or what are you not doing? Because I'm confused. And if firing you wouldn't have probably done it, they probably would have pissed you off even more because a grown man don't know how to control your emotions.
Bingo.
Like what?
27-year-old man. Then you went and beat the husband. Probably did that in front of her. Tied him up, you know.
People are weird, man. Every day, something different.
And like you said, obviously you wasn't fired. So what the fuck is weird ass motherfuckers?
All 20, OSU, roll over TC. I've got an unresponsive female. I gotta mail the car, refuse to get out.
People weird as a motherfucker.
It's the eve of Thanksgiving, 2015. Police officer Patrick Feaster sits in his cruiser parked alongside the road in the town of Paradise, California, waiting for his first action of this uncharacteristically quiet night. His car was facing the direction of a well-known local cantina, which patrons were known to drive away from under the influence. And sure enough, as the clock approached midnight, the calmness around Feaster would be shattered by the sight of a car speeding out of the restaurant's parking lot. The car went unseen by Feaster's dashcam, but not by Feaster himself, as he took off, doing his best to catch up with the car that was now speeding down the road, and within a few seconds, he does. As the car slowly comes into frame for the first time, inside that vehicle was 26-year-old Andrew Thomas and his ex-wife, 23-year-old Darian Aaron. Andrew had been drinking heavily that night and was well over the legal limit, with his driving showing as much as he failed to pull over once Feaster approached him, resulting in a police chase that would only end up lasting just a few seconds.
Jeez.
Did I see something?
My goodness. Yes, you seen what you seen.
I really couldn't see it because the footage is so grainy.
Yeah, I just seen it when it went up.
And you know how fast you had to be going for the dash cam not to catch you, but he was able to visually catch you. You were going fast in the motherfucker. And all I saw was some, and then just.
Yep.
East of the Black Olive.
Copy. Roll over TC east of Black Olive.
And this part right here is blurred out, so I'm guessing and assuming ejection.
As Andrew would drive his car directly into a median, causing the SUV to flip over violently before coming to a halt on its side. In that instant, Darian was ejected from the vehicle, being thrown straight through the windshield and landing onto the asphalt, where, despite still being alive, her injuries were likely unsurvivable. But Andrew, on the other hand, was still inside the vehicle, and he seemed to have been left relatively unharmed. As perhaps being boosted by adrenaline, he quickly tried to crawl his way out of the car in a desperate attempt to check on Darian, with Officer Feaster's dashcam capturing the entire ordeal. Though just as Andrew attempted to do so, we see Feaster step into the frame, where he suddenly draws his gun, and without saying a single word, fires 2 shots at Andrew,
hell no.
with one of the bullets appearing to strike him, causing his body to go limp as he falls back into the car.
What the freak?
It happened in a literal instant, so fast that it's clear Feaster had most likely accidentally discharged his weapon, as there was no attempt at communication.
No.
Boy, Nick, shut the hell up.
No.
Nick, shut the fuck up.
No.
No, you don't fire 2 shots off.
No.
Accident.
And I understand you know, we all human, but I understand you pissed off because he done led you on this chase, and now she's, you know what I'm saying?
Your hand don't do this accidentally pop out.
No.
Damn.
Okay. Let's keep going.
That just made me think about the car accident back home. Dude being thrown out from the car. He was surviving. I wasn't not surviving. He was dying, but slowly. But he was alive, and how everybody just left him, just abandoned the car and left him. I still think about that shit, bro.
I think about it every day.
You do?
I think about it every day.
Oh, you never said nothing.
I think about it just randomly. It comes across my mind. But yeah.
How, like, it's fucked up because, like, literally a situation like this, somebody speeding and
Under the influence.
Under the influence, and you get thrown out the front of the car, and the car is full.
The car is full of passengers, backseat,
Driver,
passenger,
backseat passengers,
front.
everybody. You're the only person, literally, because he didn't have a seatbelt on, so he's thrown out the front. And this is somebody that, like, is personal, right, y'all? Thrown out the front windshield. And I mean thrown, where he went flying. And he was still alive at the moment. Even if the police ambulance got there right away, he wasn't going to survive. Because he had so much internal bleeding. But the fact that everybody you was just with that night, having a good time.
Supposed to be your friends or whatever.
Having a good time. Y'all turning up, y'all partying. We having a good old time. We laughing. People you kick with every day. Abandon you in a time you probably needed them the most. And they go home and act like nothing happened. Said, let's go in and act like we were asleep, and somebody stole the car.
That's exactly what, yeah. Let's come up with this story.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, yeah, because I do think about it every day, though.
I'm done because the situation very, it's home, y'all. I'm sorry.
What
because
possessed
it reminded me so much of that situation.
But what possessed him to pull this? Okay, let's just go.
Before the shot was fired, with Andrew clearly posing no risk to him, as both of his hands were being used to hoist himself up. From the footage, this all seems to be a horrible accident, and one that Feaster seemed to recognize right away, as he rushed up to the car, pointing his flashlight at the man that he had just shot, staring at him for over 10 seconds, trying to make sense of what he had just done, before he finally snaps out of it, and uses his radio to call for backup. Though this is when this already dark video starts to become much more disturbing.
It's way deeper than we think, y'all.
I've got an unresponsive female. I got a male in the car refusing to get out.
When Feaster makes this call, he never mentions the shooting, and instead he states,
Anytime. Hold on. Anytime. Shots fired. Got an unresponsive female. Shots fired. Need assistance on the scene immediately. Need an ambulance on the scene immediately. Shots fired. And then let them know officer shots. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. However you're supposed to say.
Communicate.
You're supposed to let them know shots has been fired.
He refusing to get out the car. Man, you just shot him 2 times. He can't move. The hell?
States that the driver was refusing to get out of the vehicle. This is then followed by Feaster walking away from the man and pointing his flashlight to the ground, almost as if he was looking for something.
The shell casing?
Copy. Give your cross on Black Olive.
Are you looking for your...
Copy. Black Olive and Pearson.
With some theorizing that he was looking for his shell casings. Though right then, another officer arrives on the scene and begins to survey the wreckage.
Just her?
No, there's a male in the car refusing to get out.
Where, again, Feaster says that Andrew was refusing to get out of the car, making no mention of the fact that he had just shot him.
Twice.
It's clear at this point what Feaster was trying to do. He was trying to cover up his accident. But this suddenly became more difficult when Andrew started...
We gotta stop saying accident, Nick.
Well,
there's no accident if I'm actively shooting them shell casing. There's no accident if I'm failing to report that I had just shot this man. Discharged my firearm twice. There's no accident if I still officers on the scene, and I said he's refusing to get out the car. There's no accident when I'm actively looking for the shell casings.
And is she
Yeah,
now,
he's looking for the shell casings.
No, I'm about to say, and is she now deceased?
Cause we ain't even asked
you haven't
medics.
Okay.
To speak.
Okay, we got one. He's refusing to get out. Get out of the car, sir. You're not shot, sir. Get out of the car.
Andrew Thomas was still alive and had muttered to Feaster that he had been shot, but even to his face, Feaster denies it. Shortly after, Andrew then tries to tell the other cop what had happened.
Sir, you to come out of the car. This car is still on, and I don't want you to get hurt. Yeah, I was right there. I saw it. Did you get shot at the cantina? Who shot you? The cop did not shoot you.
Yes, he did.
But understandably, this other cop wasn't believing him, as surely Feaster would have said something at this point. And so the minutes start to pass. And after 5 full minutes, Feaster
You
continues
see how
processing the scene like nothing had happened, with the other officer being left to theorize that Andrew must have been seriously injured and was likely in a state of shock, which is why he was making all of these strange claims about being shot.
He may be hurt in there. Yeah, I know he is. He's in shock at the very least.
From here, the footage cuts, and we're only left with the audio
got
from that
bullets
same
in his
officer's
body,
cam
dumbass.
as he attempts to get more information from Andrew.
Sir, I need you to talk to me so I know you're okay. Sir, take a look at me. Did you bump your head?
But by this point, he had gone completely silent. 10 minutes later, the footage then cuts back on, this time to another officer's body cam, which shows that an ambulance had now finally arrived on the scene, with medics first directing their attention to Darian, who was in the worst shape, as she would tragically be pronounced dead shortly after. But despite all of these first responders on the scene, none of them had any idea that the man inside that vehicle had just been shot, and shot by one of their colleagues. And in these moments, Andrew was slowly losing his life as each minute passed. It would take 11 full minutes before Feaster finally confessed.
Sir, you hold this scene, Manny, with me. We're going over to the cantina to find out if this guy... Take a shot at him. I wasn't even pointing at him. You guys would go on.
Saying that he might have shot the man, but he wasn't sure. And immediately after saying this,
Oh my God, are you serious? No,
the recording is stopped, and the footage comes to an end.
Why you stop your
Sure
body
enough,
cam
in that
footage?
moment, Officer Patrick Feaster had in fact shot Andrew Thomas, with a bullet striking him directly in the neck. And the reason why he wasn't getting out of his vehicle was because that gunshot had left him fully paralyzed from the neck down.
Golly.
His condition was awful, and made worse by the length of time that it took for him to receive proper treatment. And despite fighting for weeks,
And they probably would have gave him proper treatment if you had went ahead and admitted the fact that you had shot the man.
And first and foremost, rest in peace to Doran, because
Yeah, facts.
that's terrible, bro.
Terrible way to go out.
That is so. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Andrew Thomas would lose his life less than 1 month later due to that gunshot wound. Afterwards, Feaster admitted that he did fire his gun, but claimed that in the moment he wasn't actually sure if he had hit Andrew. But many found this hard to believe, as his gun clearly goes off while he's pointing it at Andrew, and he clearly gets a good view of him immediately after the fact. Not to mention the fact that Andrew literally told him over and over again that he was shot. But for many, by far the most incriminating moment was when Feaster appeared to be looking for his shell casings. And because of his actions, Officer Patrick Feaster would be found guilty of manslaughter and receive a prison sentence of 180 days.
Fuck off. Fuck the fuck off, bro. Manslaughter and you get 180 days? Man, fuck off. So they got the right to kill, bro. I understand. He was intoxicated, speeding. Yeah, most definitely.
There's ways to...
He deserves. My bad, go.
I was just going to say, there's ways to handle that. Let him get out the car, arrest him. He will be
charged,
held responsible for
charged for her murder.
Yes, for her. Yes,
because that's vehicle homicide.
Yes, that's
but
how
to
you
take
handle
justice in your own fucking hands, fuck the fuck off. And then he get a fucking slap on the wrist for that dumbass shit, bro.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking, bro.
Man, stop that bullshit, bro. Just because you got a badge don't give you a license to kill, man. I don't care what nobody fucking say. And this coming from somebody who raised in a household with police officers, people working fucking law and every fucking thing. I don't give a fuck. I'm raised around military people and all. I don't give a fuck. In a household with an active duty military. No. I give zero fucks, bro. No. No. My mom, before she got sick and ill and couldn't work anymore, she worked in law enforcement. And I'll tell her to this day, just because anybody got a badge doesn't give them a license to kill. I will argue up and down with her.
Yeah.
Like, I remember having conversations with my step-pop about him being an officer and hearing some of the stories. And I already know they get away with so much bullshit. He used to tell me stories like, oh, yeah, me and my friend, we did this. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers ain't
Yeah.
A decision that was heavily contested but ultimately upheld. And while no one is defending Andrew Thomas's decision to drink and drive that night,
Yes.
Feaster's use of deadly force and his blatant attempt at covering it up make this footage harrowing nonetheless.
There are many who believe that Officer Feaster initially shot Andrew. Intentionally shot Andrew that day, which he did. It's difficult to explore this theory without being able to show the full footage, which is true because we can't see the actual shot and everything. So I recommend looking up the case for yourself and drawing your own conclusion. Which he doesn't want to persuade y'all in a thought process, which is true.
Yeah.
Which the reason why he said the certain things he said. From a point of view to not to sway the viewer in the thought process. Me, I'm just telling my personal opinion about the thing. You can draw your own conclusion as well, but we're reacting. So I do apologize for being like so irate in a situation like this. But Andrew, the guy name is Andrew, right? Mm-hmm. He deserved his time in court for the situation with Dorian. He most definitely deserved to go to court and that proceeding.
Right, and be held responsible for her death.
For his actions.
For his actions, for drinking and driving, and for her death. That's how you go about it. Yeah. Not taking matters into your own hands, pulling your gun, shooting him.
Feaster
however many times.
He deserved the same degree.
Then lying about it.
He deserved manslaughter that you would give to any other criminal out here that commit homicide in that manner, and which is most of the time, honestly, if you pull your gun like that, I'm already intent to. So, but that's I digress with that situation.
I wonder,
but he deserved at least 20.
And I wonder what was going through his head at that moment for him to even like.
Also.
Because you never said you felt like your life was, you know what I'm saying? You never mentioned that.
Now I need to know in what manner did you personally know Andrew? How big is this town? Did you know Dorian? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, because while you even posted at this bar, you speed trapping. You're initially waiting for somebody to come out, because you know they're gonna come out of here intoxicated. Or were you knowing that he was? I got a whole length of things to think about in a case like this. But I don't want to put that. I don't want to leave with that notion. But I would want to look into that. Did they have prior relationships before?
Please.
Did they prior? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was just about to say, please, please, please. Like I beg, please stop drinking and driving.
That too.
Like. Please.
That too. Because again, like that situation I was explaining.
Stories constantly.
That really affected the family like 100%. I've lost family members to, and I'm talking about young family members to drinking and driving that most definitely each situation is preventable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like and stop getting in cars with people who have been drinking and driving.
You know for sure. I don't care if they feel like, oh, I'm good. No,
I'm not getting in a car with you.
And honestly, I'm gonna do everything that I possibly can to try to like keep you from like.
Yeah.
It's
been times where literally people, come on, man, I'm good. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And I will say, in college, I have had times where, unfortunately, I did get behind the wheel You know what I'm saying? But I've never been sloppy. I was tipsy. But I'm not condoning it, and I'm not saying it was the right thing to do.
If you drink anything,
Yeah.
I don't care if it's one cup of something.
Yeah.
Please do not drink and drive.
Yeah.
Please.
Do this for real, bro. I don't got no problem with giving back, man. I'm the only one out here with a show that's actually giving back, you feel me? And I got proof to show it.
It's May 2013. 23-year-old Quamaine Wilson arrives at his local bank in Chicago, Illinois to deposit $20,000 cash, which he planned on giving out to groups of his most adoring fans.
Man, about to go get this $1,000 out for the fans, man. Really, I'm gonna take out.
Bro, just let me watch it, cause I know you probably already know about it. Dawg.
You know about it. I
Do I?
just showed it to you the other day.
Okay, well I forgot.
No, you ain't.
Okay, what situation?
I literally
you
showed
tell me
it to
so
you
much every day.
About 3 or 4 days ago. I literally just showed you. But you should say.
20,000, man. Just to show people, you feel me? I'm on a whole different level with this.
To this point, Quamaine had carved out a respectable following on his YouTube channel, where he acted in a series called The Nick Story.
One more word out your mouth, and that's your ass. That's your life. I'm gonna take it myself and put it in my graveyard with the rest of them.
Along with posting music he made under the name Young QC.
Out her song, but not until she's.
I know she will. I'm gonna get you.
Based on his viewership alone, his success was apparent, and he wasn't shy about showing off the wealth that he claimed to have accrued as a result of it, posting photos and videos of himself flaunting large amounts of cash across his social media pages. But this video was by far his most boastful yet, as he would take that $20,000 and throw it into the air for all of his fans to fight over. With Quamaine clearly relishing in the opportunity to show off his riches, despite the fact that behind the scenes, things weren't quite as they seemed.
See, don't tell me.
Oh
No.
No.
He's gonna give you a little bit more details.
When I seen him, I said his face looks familiar, but I didn't know his name. I know you probably told me, but I didn't remember his name, and I
don't think
didn't
I ever
really
told you his
know
name.
the whole like.
I was
just-
expecting you to remember the face.
Yeah, I remember
Because you said
his
something
face.
about his face.
I remembered his face, but I didn't remember the name.
She
and I
literally,
didn't-
I just show her and I discussed this situation.
I be
literally
needing
less
certain
than
things to trigger,
Yeah.
and you just saying that you see. Now you show me what he just showed,
But-
that would have triggered it if I seen that at first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But literally less than a week ago, I just showed her and talked to her about
Yeah.
this
and
whole
you
case right
gave
here.
me- wow.
Off his riches, despite the fact that behind the scenes, things weren't quite as they seemed.
Not at all.
The truth was, Quamaine had actually earned very little from his channel despite its viewership, with this being on account of his videos containing copywritten music, and the fact that he only had a dozen or so uploads. In fact, his social media flexing had started well before he even made his first video, as in reality, all of this money was coming straight from his mother, Yolanda Holmes. Having started a successful business in Chicago, Yolanda made a great living for herself and Quamaine. And being her only son, Quamaine was given just about anything he could have asked for. She would buy him designer clothes, jewelry, and even the Mustang seen in this video. But for Quamaine, it never seemed to be enough. He wanted to achieve a life of fame and riches, and he used his mother's finances to sell the illusion that he already had, asking her again and again to purchase him things that could help him sell this dream, until one day, it all came crashing down, when Yolanda would tragically lose her life. Just like that, Quamaine's entire support system had fallen out beneath his feet, leaving him without his mother and without the provider who was funding his entire life. But strangely, this didn't seem to stop his lavish online presence. In fact, his spending only seemed to increase after this, as this footage of him giving away money to fans actually took place after the death of his mother, which became extremely off-putting for law enforcement, as Yolanda hadn't simply passed away, and instead, she had been brutally murdered.
Which is so tragic, bro. So,
Quamaine had learned something shortly before Yolanda's passing, that not only were his mother's savings entirely willed to him, but she had also taken out 2 life insurance policies, in which he was the sole beneficiary. And despite Yolanda giving him anything that he could have asked for, it seemed that by this point, Quamain had simply grown tired of having to ask. And so, on September 2nd, 2012, he would offer his friend Eugene Spencer $3,500 to kill his own mother. Eugene accepted the offer, and that night he would travel to the apartment of Yolanda Holmes late at night, where he entered her room and shot her multiple times as she slept. At the time, her boyfriend had been sleeping next to her, and despite jumping up and doing his best to fight off the attacker, Eugene would eventually beat him unconscious before fleeing the scene. Eugene would call Quamain immediately after the attack to tell him that the job was done, but rather than feeling any sort of guilt, Quamain instead had no emotion, and he simply stated, "Make sure the bitch is dead."
Shut the
And so Eugene went back up to that unit,
No, he
this time
didn't.
brandishing a knife, and repeatedly stabbed Yolanda until he was absolutely certain she was gone.
What?
And with that, Quamain Holmes was a rich man.
Wow.
See, I ain't know
Wow.
those details. I knew the vague details of the
Wow,
story,
bro.
but I didn't know those details.
Your own mother?
Chill, because I can already see it. Chill,
I couldn't fathom doing that to my mama.
chill.
For $1? Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. That's crazy.
And it only cost him the life of his own mother. For a moment, the crime had worked perfectly. The police were left with no concrete leads as to who might have killed Yolanda, and the public largely believed that it was her boyfriend, whom Eugene had knocked unconscious. But no one even thought to look at Quamain. And recognizing that he was in the clear, his behavior grew brazen almost immediately.
Quamain Wilson lost his mother to gun violence on November 14th.
My mother, she was a neighborhood woman. A guy entered her home, and murdered her, just to steal.
As he went on TV to talk about his mother's murder, where he peddled the theory to the public that this was some sort of botched robbery, all the while he showed no emotion. He wouldn't even wait a full week before depositing the money, as he took out $90,000 within just the first few days, and immediately began showing it off to his followers. And in this footage where he gave away that $20,000, throwing it into the air as if it meant nothing to him, every cent of that had come from the death of his own mother, a death in which he was entirely responsible for. It would take over a full year for Quamain and Eugene to be caught, with police largely being tipped off by his online antics. And in the end, Eugene was given a 100-year prison sentence, while Quamain received 99 years.
Dummies.
With his legacy now permanently defined by his creation of one of YouTube's darkest videos.
Literally the biggest dummies, bro. You a dummy and a sent out for $3,500. That's some junky ass shit. Then not only on his part, the son, nigga, you took your mom out for some fucking money, that you end up turning around and just throwing away.
But she's like, oh, this is nothing compared to everything I got.
But honestly, nigga, that's the only last amount of money you gonna get. Your mama's gone. You can't get any more money.
This woman gave you every single thing.
A spoiled ass, brat ass,
and you like, it ain't enough.
Little weak ass little bitch. That's exactly.
Oh, that broke my heart. All these videos were devastating.
You know what's so crazy? You can't even commit it you so cowardly. You can't even commit it your own damn self. You know? You that big of a bitch. You know? And not even just that, right? Because I've seen so many people talk about the situation, right? Mm-hmm. And they even spoke on the fact that how afterwards, literally, he showed no remorse. He's doing interviews. You know, if your mom is getting killed, while you doing interviews and hearing in the manner that she was shot and stabbed to death the way she was,
Facts.
You will be emotional, right?
Facts.
Your mom's at her funeral, right? You will be emotional, right? At your mom's funeral. Y'all literally saw video proof that he wasn't emotional. I also have heard, even at her own funeral, he's sitting up there, not a single tear dropped the whole time at her funeral. Wow. He's just there. And they said that's what a lot of people's like, bro, what the fuck is up with you?
Like, that's not normal.
That's not normal. You're the only child. This is your mother. You having to bury your mother as a single child.
That's the only child.
You have no siblings to lean on. You have nothing. It's just you now. You're not sad at all. You're not mourning. You don't have nothing. Yeah, that's the biggest red flag, right? You can't throw no bigger red flag. You know that in anybody's eyes, just like, oh, you guilty.
Yep.
I ain't know the details of how she was, like how she was done.
Now make sure that what?
And I know everybody, well, not probably everybody, but the majority here said I would never do anything like that. I can't. I just can't. I can't fathom to see myself doing some shit like that.
I love my mama too much.
Honestly, he deserves to be placed in a room where all spaces of the wall in a cell by himself is full of photos of his mom. And he has to sit there and look at his mom for every second of them 99 years.
Facts.
Every corner he turned, and you can't even take the photos down. They embedded behind a plexiglass or something, and you can't even take them down. You just literally are stuck looking at the. That's what he deserves.
Wow.
And even photos of her dead body to say, "Hey, look what she suffered because of you."
Because of you. Because your spoiled tail.
When you go to sleep at night,
you wanted money.
when you lay on that bunk, you literally have to face your mom's deceased body. That's what he deserves. Look at the bullshit your selfish ass did for 99 years.
Yeah. All these videos got me like. Yeah. Okay.
RIP to all 20,000. I'm gonna just round up to 20,000 of the individuals that were affected in Japan. Salute to, I can't say his name, but Soto.
Yes. Yeah.
Last name Soto, for saving those 20 women, because without you, they would have perished as well. And then what was the other case after that? Not Andrew and Dorian. It was the case before that.
The couple.
The couple in Canada.
Yeah.
RIP to them, because they most definitely did not deserve that at all. All because a motherfucker couldn't handle discipline at a fucking job. And RIP to Andrew and Dorian.
Yeah.
Dorian most definitely didn't deserve to go out like that, but Andrew, you also didn't deserve to go out the way you did. You know what I'm saying? And RIP to I don't know his mom's name, but the QC mom, his mom.
Oh yeah.
RIP to her, because you most definitely did not deserve a child like that. You know what I'm saying? But hey, y'all spam us up in the comments, man. Y'all let us know y'all. And he did not deserve a good ass mother like he had. He had a great ass mom that did everything she could for him. He did not deserve her at all. But hey, man, y'all spam us up. Let us know y'all thoughts down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is we are. We are.
No time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar.